Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is Liaquat and we are going through al-Fawz al-Kabir. Okay, so far we've actually covered two chapters, or two sections you can say. So the first is, we talked about the ulum, types of subjects or sciences, the five types of ulum that the verses can be categorized in. So we said ulum ilm al-ahkam, ilm al-mukhasama, then you've got ilm al-tazkir bi-ala'illah, ilm al-tazkir bi-ayyamillah, and ilm al-tazkir bil-maut. And then you have the five different types of usloob that the Quran, the methodology the Quran adopts in presenting these. So we said that the first thing is lam yaltazim Allah ta'ala fi ayat al-ahkam ijaz. So you don't find shortening of these, like, compressing like later scholars have done. Number two, وَمَا اخْتَارَ تَنْقِيحَ الْقَوَاعِدِ الْقُرْآنِيَّةِ عَلَى الْقُيُودِ غَيْرِ الضَّرُورِيَّةِ. Yeah, so in other words, going too deep into the finer details, you don't find the Quran does that with rulings. Number three, that the Allah in the ayats of mukhasama, in debating, uses the well-known arguments, or methods of debating against the other parties. Number four, Allah does not in the Quran refine all of the arguments with conditions and clauses like other books do of logic and philosophy. وَكَذَا لَمْ يَلْتَزِمْ رِعَايَةَ الْمُنَاسَبَةِ. And likewise, you don't find this connection between surahs and ayats as you do find in normal books. Okay, so today we're going to be looking at this third section now. So the third section is تَقْيِيدْ كُلَّ آيَةٍ بِسَبَبٍ مِنْ أَسْبَابِ النُّزُولِ, is restricting every single ayah with a sabab min asbab nuzul, a cause of revelation. This is against the reality. So what he's basically saying is, when you find authors that mention a book, or mention an ayah rather, and then try to come out with a story behind the ayah, and then try to fit that ayah onto the reason why this ayah was revealed was this particular story. So Shah Waliullah rahimahullah disagrees with this approach, and he says this isn't the approach that we should take. So he says this is one of the mistakes that many mufassirin fall into. So let's read what it says. Ammatul mufassirin, most of the mufassirin, yu'alliquna, yuqayyiduna, they condition or add in brackets or footnotes, kull ayatin, with every single ayah of ayat al-mukhasaba, those verses to do with debating, wa ayat al-ahkam, and the ayats related to rulings, bi qissatin ma, a particular story. ثم يجعلون تلك القصة, and then they'll make that story, that qissa, or that narration, sababan, a reason for why the ayah was nuzul tilka al-ayah. والحقيقة, and the reality is أن الأمر ليس كذلك. Matter is not like that in reality. فإن الهدف الأساسي, the main objective, the principal objective, المقصد الأصلي من إنزال القرآن الكريم, for revealing the Quran, هو تهذيب نفوس البشر, is to rectify the hearts or the souls of humans. وَدَحْذِ عَقَائِدِهِمْ الْبَاطِلَةِ, and to remove the false beliefs. وَإِزَالَةِ أَعْمَالِ الْفَاسِدَةِ, and to remove the incorrect or invalid actions. That's the main sort of like basis for the Quran. It's the main reason why the Quran is three things. It's to tahdhib al-nufus, is to rectify the nafs, the human beings, to get rid of false or fake beliefs, and to clear up wrong actions. Yeah, so whether those tahdhib al-nufus is in the form of teaching people shukr or sabr, or being able to be kind to other people, etc., supporting the community, or whether that is in the form of disbelieving in the shirk, disbelieving that Allah has a child or son, or that disbelieving that Allah is weak, or izat al-amal fasida could mean, for example, like verses that are related to showing how these people, mushrikeen or the Ahl Kitab, were doing actions that were wrong. So anyway, number one, فَوُجُودُ الْأَقَائِدَ الْبَاطِلَةِ مِنَ الْمُكَلِّفِينَ, so the existence of false beliefs, fil mukallaf, in those people who are responsible, i.e. human beings, sababun kulliyun, is a general cause لنزول آيات المخاصبة, for the revelation of all ayats in the Quran that are to do with debating the Christians or the Jews or the mushriks or the hypocrites. That's basically, you can say, that's the reason, you can say. Yeah, which is to clarify that. Number 2, wujud al-a'mal al-fasida, and the existence of incorrect actions, wa jarayan al-madhalim, and the existence of these oppressive sort of actions, exercises that people do, fima bainahum, between themselves, is a cause kulli linuzul ayat al-ahkam, for the revelation of the verses to do with rulings like salat and fasting and hajj and nikah and talaq and all these kind of things. Number 3, وَغَفْلَتُهُمْ, and their heedlessness, وَعَدْمِ تَيَقُّدِهِمْ, and their lack of awareness, بِذِكْرِ آلَاءِ اللَّهِ, of the mentioning of the bounties of Allah, وَذِكْرِ أَيَّامِ اللَّهِ, and the mentioning of history, the أيام الله, or the things that occurred in the past, وَبِذِكْرِ حَوَادِثِ الْمَوْتِ, and remembering the events of death and everything that comes after it. Sabab, all of these are a reason for why Allah sends down verses of reminder, بأنواعها ثلاثة, of all three types. لتصديهم لذكر القصص, فتصديهم, so therefore them, concerning the people, these mufassirin, concerning themselves, لذكر القصص, stories, الجزئية, individual stories, الخاصة, that are specific, under the title سبب النزول, وروايتها, and narrating them, لا دخل له, has nothing to do with it, في فهم التفسير, understanding tafsir. إلا في تفسير بعض الآيات, yes, some verses require understanding the background, التي وقع فيها تعريض بواقعة, which is clearly has been revealed or mentioned to do with highlighting an incident of the many incidents التي حدثت, which occurred في عصره, in the time of the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, أو قبله, or prior to him. لأن تحير السامع, because the listener becoming confused, وانتظاره, and him waiting, الذي حصل من سمع ذلك, which occurs for the one who has heard this, ذلك التعريض الموجز, لا يزول, does not end, go, بدون بسط القصة, without really having the details of the story. فوجب علينا, so therefore it is necessary upon us, أن نشرح هذه العلوم الخمسة, for us to explain these five sciences بوجه وأسلوب, and a method, لا نحتاج إلى مؤونة, with the burden of ذكر تلك القصص الجزئية, individual stories, بلا ضرورة داعية إليه, that has no need for it. So, summary of this is that he's trying to highlight some of the problems he's seen in some tafsirs, which is that when you have an ayah of the Quran, that you don't need to have a story behind each ayah to be able to understand the ayah. Simply understanding the language of the Quran, or maybe even understanding the balagha and understanding these kind of things, is sufficient to be able to understand what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying here. So, for example, like if we were to look in the Quran, for instance, there clearly are some incidents where Allah has indicated towards a story. So, for instance, like let's say if we were to go to the Surah of Fil, right at the back of the Quran. So we go to Surah Al-Fil, and it says, أَلَمْ تَرَ كَيْفَ فَعَلَ رَبُّكَ بِأَصْحَابِ الْفِيلِ. Right? So we know that there is a story behind the Ashab. Who are the Ashab al-Fil? We can't hear clearly tell what's happened over here. And this story being given that the Mufassirin mention is important to understand exactly the relevance of this. Right? Or for example, Ilafi Quraysh, to understand who Quraysh are, we need to know background about Quraysh if we don't know who they are. So the Mufassirin relevantly will mention the story of Quraysh. But sometimes when there is a verse, so for example, like maybe Surah Inna A'taynak al-Kawthar mentions the incident of Al-As ibn Wa'il, or maybe someone else, and or Al-Walid bin Mughira, and someone may quote that story and say this story was about him, etc., etc. He's saying basically we don't need to really know that. That isn't something that will give us a deeper understanding of this surah. The general reason for why Allah is showing this is because the enmity these people had with the Prophet ﷺ. Okay, so the existence of false beliefs is the reason why people have to be made aware of this. Surah Lahab, Surah Lahab, Tabbat yada Abi Lahabin wa Tab. If you don't know who Abu Lahab is and you know why Allah says Tab here, then maybe the story will help, right? Understand the story will help out over here. This surah, knowing the background of this surah, Qul a'udhu bi rabbil falaq, Qul a'udhu bi rabbin nas, that this was revealed with regards to the magic that was done on the Prophet ﷺ, a person wouldn't need to know that to be able to understand what is being said over here, right? So attaching ayats to stories in some places is needed, but in some places it wouldn't be needed. So this is what Shah Waliullah rahimahullah is saying. He's a kind of like clarifying the issue with regards to this. So anyway, let's have a little go at a surah and let's try to apply some of the things that we've learned in the past. So let's have a go at trying to apply the 5 ulum to this. So Ya ayyuhan nas ittaqu rabbakum, O people, ittaqu, shield yourselves from your lords, from disobeying your Lord. Inna zalzalata as-sa'ati shay'un azim. Zalzalata as-sa'a. So ittaqu rabbakum can be a reference to ala illah, the bounties of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, so you got some ala illah there. Alright. Zalzalat as-sa'a, to do with ilm tadhkir bil akhirah, day of judgment. Yawma tarawnaha, this verse is all to do with the day of judgment, the day in which you'll see that every breastfeeding woman will forget about what she's breastfeeding. وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يُجَادِلُ فِي اللَّهِ بِغَيْرِ ilm. So all of a sudden now it's gone to ilm al-mukhasama, right? It's talking about debating with other groups. وَيَتَّبِعُ كُلَّ شَيْطَانٍ مَرِيدٍ, and they follow every shaitan marid, right? So you've got that there. And then you got كُتِبَ عَلَيْهِ أَنَّهُ مَنْ تَوَلَّاهُ فَأَنَّهُ يُضِلُّهُ. It's been written that whoever befriends them, then indeed he will make them go astray and guide him towards the torment of the burning fire. Yeah. So here again, this is to do with the ilm al-mukhasama. You can say, Ya ayyuhan nas in kuntum fi rayb min al-ba'th, if you're in doubt about the resurrection. فَإِنَّا خَلَقْنَاكُمْ. So this is evidence. This is right. So if that's one we can use for this. And if we were to look at this part then, okay, if we look at this part and we said, okay, so as you can see, Allah in these verses doesn't go into too much detail about incidents, right? The breastfeeding woman, who is this breastfeeding woman? How will she forget about her child, etc., etc. These kind of details are not found in the Quran in this way. Even though a normal person who was writing a book may have mentioned these, the Quran doesn't adhere to these details, right? It doesn't see the need for these, and there's no need for them because the Quran is conveying its message. And also there doesn't necessarily have to be a clear link between each ayah. So for example, inna zalzalat as-sa'ati shay'un azim yawma tarawnaha, okay, there's a link between the zalzala, the earthquake, and the day of judgment, clearly. And then وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يُجَادِلُ, all of a sudden from the day of judgment it's switched and it's gone towards those people who contest with Allah, right? So it's gone there, and then all of a sudden it goes towards Ya ayyuhan nas, O people, if you're in doubt about the resurrection, but the resurrections over here. So it doesn't seem to be a clear connection. Yes, some of the mufassirin may argue connections, they might bring connections, but you have to remember all connections that are mentioned will be considered to be something that are assumed speculations, right? They won't be considered to be categorical in their nature. Okay, and the last thing that we did say, so wujud al-aqaid al-batila. So as you can see, aqaid batila, because of the existence of aqaid batila, Allah mentions these verses. If there was no aqaid batila, Allah would not mention verses to prove the existence of or the occurrence of the resurrection. And on the other side, Allah says, or the author says, wujud al-a'mal fasida, existence of a'mal fasida. So they being incorrupt actions. Yeah, so we might find some verses, for example, like actions that these people used to do. ثانية عتفه, this guy twists his neck. Okay, so in arrogance, this is an a'mal. So this is why ayat al-ahkam have been revealed, verses to do with rulings of how we should worship. وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يَعْبُدُ اللَّهَ عَلَى حَرْفٍ, from amongst people are those who worship Allah ala harfin, without being firm. Yeah, so when times are tough, they leave worshipping Allah. So Allah reveals verses to show the importance of being firm in your worship to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. غَفْلَتِهِمْ أَنْ تَيَقُّذْ, so their heedlessness about the day of judgment or Allah himself. So Allah mentions verses related to his signs. So okay, so you got some verses. Okay, so this verse. Okay, this one actually doesn't have many signs in there that I mentioned. Okay, but we're gonna have to look at maybe some other. So for example, ثُمَّ خَلَقْنَا نُطْفَةً, Allah creation. This is a sign of Allah, that how Allah creates, yeah, from a drop of fluid and then puts that drop of fluid in a place that's firm, قَرَارٍ مَكِينٍ. ثُمَّ خَلَقْنَا نُطْفَةً عَلَقَةً, then we made the nutfa into alaqa, then we made the alaqa into a mudgha, a chewed piece of meat. فَخَلَقْنَا الْمُدْغَى إِضَامًا فَكَسَوْنَا الْإِضَامَ لَحْمًا, and so forth. Right, so this is another, as you can see, sort of verse which is related to this idea of the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So anyway, we'll stop there. So let me know if you guys have any questions or anything, and I can put it in the bottom. As you can see, we are going a bit slow, but inshallah, hopefully, we'll try to speed it up as much as possible. And the main thing is, I want you guys to be able to not only understand the book, but also apply it as well. Application, I believe, is a very important thing for students of knowledge. Jazakumullah khair, and assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakumullah khair, guys, for all of your support. Without your support, I wouldn't have been able to produce the videos that I've put up on my YouTube channel. And there is so much more that I really want to do. And without the support of you guys who are patrons, generously supporting this channel, I've been able to get myself a camera, which, as you guys can see, the quality of this camera, a mic system, software. I've been able to hire an editor. So what do I want to do? I want to make lots and lots and lots of more videos for beginners, for intermediate, advanced, in the subjects like Arabic and fiqh and hadith and tafsir and aqidah and all those other things as well. And for this to happen, again, this channel needs support. So if you guys want to become patrons and support this channel, then check out the link below. Also, if you do become patrons, you'll have access to videos that I don't put up on my normal YouTube channel. So check that out, inshallah. And there's most other perks as well that you guys can benefit from. And if you want to access this channel through social media, we've got Twitter, we've got Instagram, Facebook page, and other things as well that you can visit. So Jazakumullah khair again, guys. Thank you very much for your support. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.